In today's video, we're going to talk about writing Selenium scripts in Python, and this is a part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, make sure you go to our channel and check out part 1 first. So first, what we're going to talk about in today's video is we're going to talk about how to handle drop-down lists. After that, we'll show you how to submit web forms, and in particular, the reason we want to show you how to submit web forms is because this involves executing commands sequentially. And so while we're executing the command sequentially, we want to show you how we can handle certain cases and exceptions during the sequential process so that it doesn't disrupt the whole process. Next, we'll talk about how to handle new windows and tabs that pop up during your test. And finally, we'll talk about wait statements and how to use wait statements in your own code. So talking about sequential test again, so referring back to it, what we refer to sequential test is that, for example, we have a bunch of different commands, command 1, 2, 3, 4, and first we do command 1, then we do command 2, then we do command 3, and then we do command 4 after they pass. But this can be problematic sometimes if, for example, command 3 fails. And when command 3 fails, then the other commands afterwards will not execute. And so we'll show you how we can handle this in our cases today. And typically what we do is we use a try except statement in Python, so that whenever we get an exception during this command 3, it catches it, but then it continues on to command 4 as well. After that, we'll talk about some wait statements. So in web test, sometimes web elements will need time to be loaded or be enabled, and we should let Selenium commands to wait for a period of time and then do our operations after. And so that's what Selenium wait statements are for. For example, you have time.sleep, which is in the time package, and this allows you to pause the execution of a current thread for a certain amount of time. You also have explicit wait statements, which allow your code to stop and freeze until a certain condition is met, and we'll show you that later. Again, we have implicit waits, which kind of similar to time. We just basically tell the WebDriver to wait for a certain amount of time and then try to do any actions afterwards. All right, so again, if you haven't watched the part 1 of this video, I would strongly suggest you go and check out part 1 first and then come back to this video. So this is the code that we had left off from part 1. We basically created a class or a file right here, a Python script, with a bunch of different functions to test different functionalities on our web page. And for you that don't remember, I'm just going to navigate to our web page. It's just admlucid.com, and we wanted to test this web page. So we tested all these buttons last time, these text boxes, checkboxes, and radio boxes. Today, we're going to be working with this web page for a bit, but then we'll be working with other web pages afterwards. But to begin with, we will work with this web page. So for today's video, let's make a new file or a new script. So go ahead and right-click test right here, and then we'll click new, and then we'll click Python. And again, because we're using PyTest, we're going to start our file name with test underscore. And then this time, we're just going to name it Selenium commands. And then this would be part 2, so 2.py. Okay, press enter. Now we have our empty file. Now, before we work with anything we have right here, I'm gonna have to do a few things. So let's first import some packages that we need to use. I actually have it on the side right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste it because these are just importing packages. So first thing, obviously, we import the WebDriver. We also import PyTest. We import WebDriver select, action chains, the wait statements, which we'll need later, and time as well, which we'll need later as well. Okay, so once we have that, let us begin. So again, remember we talked about fixtures, which are basically functions that you can pass into your classes or into your other functions. And so for PyTest, if you want to specify a fixture, you just use this @ tag, and then you say pytest.fixture. And so this time, what we're doing is we're using Edge instead of Firefox, which is what we used previously. We're going to start a Edge WebDriver, and then we're going to maximize the window and then proceed from there. Again, we commented out driver.quit right here so that we have to manually close the driver so that you can see what's going on the browser. Okay, so now that we're done with the fixture, let's start making some stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to make a class, or a function called we're going to test the dropdown list. So we're going to go ahead and call it dropdown list. We're going to pass edge into it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do edge.get, and we're going to navigate to our URL, which is the web elements URL that I just showed you. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that right here. And so admlucid.com-home-web elements. After that, let's wait for 6 seconds. And the reason I'm implementing this is so that I can drag the window open, because I'm using 2 monitors, open over to the main window, and you can see what's going on before anything happens. And then also maybe if there's any JavaScript elements on the web page that need to load, we give it some time to load. After that, let's call select element, so something on this web page. We're going to name this, we're going to use edge, and then we're going to say find element, and we're going to use by, and it's going to be by.name. And then the value for this is going to be age. So we're going to search for the element that has the name age on our web page. Go ahead, press enter, select. Now we're going to use select is equal to select. So this is basically we're selecting an element. We're selecting this web element right here. So select element. And then right here, we're going to do select by visible text. And this basically allows us to select from the drop-down list. We're going to select 12. So basically entering our age as 12. And so now that that's done, let me show you what this looks like. So go ahead and press run test. Drag this over, make this big. And we see that there's an age right here, and we should see it change anytime now. See it change to 12 right before it closed, and the test passed. So that's good. Let's do some more stuff. So we're going to do definition. We're going to make another one. We're going to do a drop-down list again. But this time it's going to be, we're going to call it 2. We're going to pass edge, the fixture in again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, so I'm going to actually copy these 2 statements right here because these 2 are the same. We're going to go to this URL again. And what we're going to do is we're going to select a different element. So I'm just going to copy and paste everything over just because we want to select different elements. So we're going to find the element that has the value service. Then we're going to select preschool from there. And so if I run this again, the same thing should happen. It's just repetitive. I just want to show you what's going on. So I maximize this again. Service right here. So we should see it change sometime soon. So it changed to preschool before it closed. And there we go. Okay, next one. Let's work with submitting a form on our web page. So this one we're going to call def test. And this is just going to be submit form. And this is going to be edge right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to, again, no, not that. I just want to paste over. Since we're always going to the same web page, I'm just going to use that at the same time. And now we're going to have to define a bunch of things. So I'll type the first one out. So again, let's say we want to find the name field. So we'll go name is equal to edge.find_element. And then we're going to use by is equal to by.name, right? And then we'll have to find the value, and then the value was equal to name. So for those of you that don't remember how we did this and how we find this value, we just go to our web page. For example, this is what we have to fill in. We just right-click this, inspect, and then we right-click this. Oops, my bad. We right-click this, inspect, and then we open this. So it's not working, but let me try that again. Right-click, inspect, and we have name is equal to name. So by name is equal to name, and that's why we put name right here. But yeah, so basically we do this for a lot of stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and paste some stuff over. So we're also finding the email field, the phone field, the submit field, using the name as well. For the submit field, we're using XPath, which is this locator. After we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do name.clear. And we're just clearing anything in the name field. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do send keys. So we're going to use name.send keys. And this is what we basically put into the name field. So I'm just going to name it John Smith. There we go. And so that's basically filling out the name. And this is really repetitive, so I'm gonna show you how to do this again. So again, now we do it for email. We clear out the email. We send the keys for the email. Clear out the phone. Send the keys for the phone. Now for the other stuff, for the drop-down list inside the form, we have some other stuff. So since we talked and showed you how to use drop-down list earlier, I'm just going to copy and paste. So this is basically what we did in the functions above. We found this drop-down list area age. We selected 12, found service, selected preschool. So I'm going to do that again in here. And now what I'm going to do is we're actually going to do edge.execute underscore script. And then what we're going to type is, we're going to do this. This is the script we're going to execute in here. And it's basically what we are telling them to do is we are telling the Edge browser to scroll down to the window so that we can see what we want to work with. Because if we don't scroll down, sometimes you won't be able to see the submit button, which is the send button right here in your browser, and then it won't be able to click it. So we're telling it to scroll all the way down, and then you can click it. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to do submit.click, and then we're going to sleep for 2 seconds. And then what we're going to do is edge.switch to .alert .accept. So accept any alerts that happen. And then we run this again. So you see that you can't see it down there, so you have to scroll down for a bit and then you can see it. And yeah, so that's basically filling out the form. And so filling out this form becomes a sequential process. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and paste the same thing we just had above. But this time what I'm going to do, so we have the same stuff we have above. But this time, instead of using telephone as this value for this finding this element right here, we switch it to, so earlier it was telephone, we're going to switch it to telephone 2. And basically we're switching it to something that doesn't exist. So it shouldn't be able to find it. And because of that, this should fail right here by finding this element and nothing else will execute. And that's what we basically want to show you. We want to show you that when using Edge and Selenium, if one thing fails earlier, then nothing else afterwards will execute. So let me run this again, show you what's going on. Drag it over, maximize it. And you see it fills out the name and the email, but doesn't fill out the phone number. And so because, and then nothing else afterwards gets filled, and it's basically saying that this fails because it can't locate this element right here. Where is it? No such element, unable to locate it. Yeah, but basically it's not able to locate the telephone element is what I'm trying to show you. So what you can do is you can use a try and accept statement. And so I'm going to uncomment out this code I have right here. And I'm going to comment out this one. And so basically we're saying, let's try to find the element telephone 2. And if it doesn't work, then we're just going to print out this. But if it does work, then we can just say, oh, it works, and we can proceed. So this try and accept statement is really good if you're not sure if this will work for sure. So let me run this again. Same code, but just new. We're using telephone 2 against here. But let me drag this over, maximize it. So it's going to fill out the name and the email. And then it fills out the drop-down list and everything else as well. And then it doesn't fill out the telephone, it just skips it because it fails. And so you see, it printed could not find the telephone element, the element of telephone. And that's because this statement didn't work. So if it fails, then it goes to accept. Okay, now let's move on and show you the next test that we're going to do. This time we're going to show you some different wait statements. So let's show you a test wait. I'm actually, since we're just showing you the wait statement, it's not too much to know, but I'm just going to paste this over and I'll explain it over. So again, we're going to the browser and then we're finding the header text element. So here we sleep for 6 seconds and then basically right here, this is another wait statement. We tell it to wait another 6 seconds. And then we basically wait until a certain thing, condition is satisfied. And right here, it's basically header text is displayed. We wait for that to be satisfied. And then we scroll down. And then we wait another, we wait right here. So we're looking for an element called value wait 45. And then basically, before you click on it, we see if wait 15 is enabled. And then afterwards, we click on wait 15 right here. And then we see what happens. And then after we click, is it enabled? And it's not enabled. And then we wait until this is enabled. And then we print and ask if it's enabled. So this is a lot maybe for you right now, but let me just show you what I mean. Basically on our web page, we have this button where when you click it, it's disabled for 15 seconds. And so what we're testing right here is we're testing to see if this explicit wait, which we're specifying, is working. And so we're basically telling our program to click the button, and then we're waiting until the button is enabled right here. And then once it's enabled, we check the condition and see if it's enabled and see if it works properly. So yeah, so let me run this for you and you'll see it in live action. So go ahead and drag this window over. So we're just have our web page right here, and then it scrolls down to the bottom. It'll click the button. You see how the button just went gray out. Now we wait 15 seconds, but in our case, we're telling it to wait until this button is enabled, for it to stop the test. So now we're going to wait for the button to re-enable itself after 15 seconds. It re-enables itself, and then there we go. It finished running. And so if we see before click on, it is enabled. After we click on it, it becomes disabled. And then we wait for 15 seconds, it becomes enabled again. So that's a true, false, true statement. And yeah, so that's basically waits. We use two types of waits here. We use the wait, so we just wait for 6 seconds, and we use the explicit wait, which we tell it to wait for a certain condition, which is the wait 15 is enabled to be satisfied, and then it continues. Okay, finally, we're going to talk about handling windows. And so right here, handling windows, we have this right here. And basically, we go to a different URL this time, and we're telling it to find an element right here. And then basically, we're telling it to click on this button right here. And then this will basically open up a different tab. And then we're trying to tell it to search on the new tab for a certain location and then see if what happens. So let me show you what happens right here. I drag it over. So it opens a new tab, and then it's trying to search in here in the location field for Edmonton right here. So it found the location and search buttons, and it's trying to search for Edmonton, but it's not working. And the reason it's not working is because it's not able to find right here. It's not able to find location search. And the reason it's not able to find location search is because after you opened your new tab, Selenium WebDriver doesn't know to search on the new tab. It's still trying to search for this web element on the old tab. And so one way you can go around this is, let me show you the new function we have right here. So I'm going to go down here. One way we can go around that, so everything's the same except for here. So this one, we're basically specifying, oh, this window that you see right now is our original window. So remember that, that's our original window. And then we basically tell it to click that button to open a new tab. And it's basically saying, for every window in all the windows open, if that current window is not equal to the original window right here, then let's switch that current window and see what's going on there. And so basically after we open a new window, it sees that new window is not equal to the original window, and it switches to the original new window. And by doing that, we're able to find location search, and we're able to search for it. So let me show you what's going on here. But yeah, just take a notice of all this syntax. So basically switch to window, we're also using current window. So it's just using the WebDriver. So let me run this for you. So drag this over, maximize it again. I'll open a new tab. And now right here, it should search Edmonton, or right here, yeah. So it searches Edmonton right here, and then all you have is Edmonton right here. So yeah, it closes it itself, and it basically says, oh yeah, it worked. We were able to search for everything there, and yeah, so it works. So yeah, so this is the video, part 2. I hope this video was helpful. We learned a little bit about wait statements, different ways to handle windows, and ways to handle sequential commands in Selenium and Python. If you found this video helpful, please give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time.